Nikaya 3 refuges. Udam Saranam Gacchami. Udam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, may their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy the happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have a joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please stand for the Heart Sutra, now on page 4 of your liturgy book. Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Bodhisattva practicing the Prajna Paramita clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental wisdom and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by Prajna Paramita with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is Nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by Prajna Paramita, attaining Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore know that Prajna Paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the Prajna Paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parasam, Gate, Bodhisvaha, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parasam, Gate, Bodhisvaha, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parasam, Gate, Bodhisvaha. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the six worlds and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Donna, Kaylin, Jimmy, Soke, Roger, Debbie, Sister Suzette, Shauna, Katie, Ann, Tiffany. May they have peace and healing. And to Andy, Kendall, Charlie, and Buddy at the time of their death, as well as those names we hold in the silence of our hearts, and those names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together.
Is there German school today? Okay. And please prepare your sadhana. We will now recite the Sangha Covenant on page 8 of your Living People.
We, the Daishin Roshii Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others.
Please be seated for this morning's teaching. Sit comfortably so you can make eye contact with the teacher. In a moment, we will recite the Gautama Sutra, also found on page 8 of your liturgy book. Gatha on opening the sutra.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to be here today. It's a busy time in the life of the Sangha. There's many celebrations, some sorrows occurring, life in full contact, right? We had a wonderful house blessing. In the same weekend, we had a witnessing of a marriage ceremony. And members, loved ones are moving into hospice, and jobs are leaving. The whole thing. The thing that's central is that we as a community are interested in each other's welfare, that we take seriously this business of taking care of each other and taking care of ourselves. So when we're doing beautifully and well, and we're having some of our more graceful moments, we should enjoy those and be willing to share as much as possible in ways that make sense, that good experience with those who in this moment do not have access to it. If you try to hoard them, you will heap suffering upon yourself, because you can't anyway. And at the same time, when difficulties are rising, not closing it off, not hiding the face and staying away, but rather being willing to be vulnerable and being willing to be seen and to see others and to share. This business of showing up, and not just a one-off, through time. You know, those of us that have been living our lives together for a while have this great bond that has seen joys and sorrows and bland times and everything in between. And it's like this with your own practice of the Dharma. A long, steadfast clarity that is reliable and dependable. It's not something you can cram. There is no hack for this. Now the sutra, we're pressing on today with the Lankavatara Sutra, and it's bringing our attention to a very common mistake. And it's important that we kind of tune into this and be aware of it. In the chapter called Attainment of Self-Realization, the Lankavatara says this: there are those who, afraid of the suffering incident to the discriminations of life and death, seek nirvana unwisely. There are those who, afraid of the sufferings of life, afraid of the joys and the sorrows, afraid, those who out of great fear seek nirvana. They seek nirvana, but they seek it unwisely, unskillfully. Nirvana, of course, is the Sanskrit slang for samsara, suffering. Nirvana is the relief of suffering, right? How do we get from suffering to not suffering, from samsara to nirvana? This is a common way of using it, not the only way. So there are those who are motivated by great fear who seek nirvana, but they do so unwisely. What kind of mistake is the sutra pointing out? Though they have come to see that all things are subject to discrimination and have no reality, and so they imagine that nirvana must consist in annihilating the senses and annihilating their fields of sensation. So they have some insight into impermanence. They have some grasping of no self, some sense of it. But they make this kind of logical mistake, that thinking, if everything is simply something that shows up in the senses, then the way to nirvana is to make an enemy of my senses. But the senses must be my enemy after all. If the eye causes me to sin, am I not to gouge it out, says another tradition. No. The answer is no. At least in this tradition. Keep your eye. In fact, learn to wield it well. That would be a better answer, right? So these folks get the idea that, the problem here is the fact of contact with experience. Somehow the fact that I'm in contact with something that I find attractive or neutral or repulsive in some way, this is itself evidence of mistake, and hence the ideal would be to shut off all the senses somehow. Okay, and that's a goof. And there are people, it might sound like an extreme view, but there are people that have this unexamined assumption that what you're supposed to be doing in the sitting practice is whack-a-mole with every thought and feeling that arises, and stop it down, repress it, bottle it up, and look good anyway. That won't help. In fact, that'll do some damage. It's called bypassing. And we don't want to do that, okay? So your job when you're sitting is not to just suppress everything or pretend that things aren't there. It's not going to be helpful to do this. These folks do not appreciate that birth and death of samsara and the freedom and joy of nirvana are not separate from one another. Okay? It's actually in the contact of the senses. And it doesn't matter what they're sensing. I had a conversation recently with a young practitioner saying, well, you know, I'm sitting, but I just get so bored. Oh, congratulations. You are noticing boredom rising. Is that so? I'm bored. No. You're noticing a sensation of boredom is rising and perhaps burrowing through you. Right? There's a distinction there. The fact is that if you're sitting in meditation and you feel sleepy, or you feel bored, or you feel irritated, or you feel peaceful and calm and blissful, or whatever horror, comedy, drama you tune into, it doesn't matter. The fact is, who is it that's perceiving that feeling? Where is it that that feeling is happening? How is it that that experience is occurring? You see, rather than trying to make all the TV shows look the way you want all the time, you can't, right? But what you can do is notice you're staring at a screen. And this is separable from whatever comedy or drama is playing. And it is playing, I'm not saying that it isn't playing, but be able to see that when you sit, if you're, say you're excited, well, that's not necessarily a good sign. The good sign is that you're aware of your excitement, the raciness, let's say. Don't play with it. Just acknowledge it, let it go, don't cling to it, and steady on. You know, if you're feeling boredom, or you're feeling disgust or attraction, or whatever it is, probably little bits of all of those in rapid succession, right? You're not really just a monolithic entity in there with a single experience. You're a constellation of different voices with their own agendas and attractions and repulsions, right? So the gig here is to simply be very, very attentive to what is actually going on without needing to fix it or to manage it or to structure it or to run from it or pretend it's not there, but to actually see clearly what is actually arising. And so if you sit there in a period of meditation and you're feeling bored the whole time and you're identifying with the feeling and you're kind of just running with it, identifying with it, not even realizing that you're doing it, that's very different than if you're sitting there and you are aware that a sense of boredom is rising in the field of mind. And you see it, you acknowledge it, and you don't fuss with it. Can you understand the distinction there? When you practice, it starts to become really, really clear. Just because an impulse or a craving or a repulsion or whatever is careening through my mind stream, I don't have to act on it. Eh? And I also don't have to pretend it's not there. I have to know how to wield myself and my mind so that I can choose what I will and will not act and engage in. And that's your decision to make. We all have to you have to put your nickel down somewhere, right? But from this place of awareness, not from trying to stamp out all the bad, whatever those are, feelings and try to just only have good feelings all the time. That's a prescription for heaping suffering upon yourself reliably. So if that's your goal, that's a good way to do it. Life will rush up to meet you. So they do not appreciate that samsara and nirvana are not separate from one another. Universal mind, ordinary mind, Buddha mind, your mind, all the same. No different. They do not know that nirvana is universal mind in its purity. The act of cognizing, of sensing and perceiving itself is bliss, is nirvana. The fact of hearing words, of feeling gravity through your body, of feeling the sensation of an inhale and an exhale, and a leaning into or away from, that itself is the miracle. And you have a full share. As we age, the senses go offline, it dulls a little bit. One benefit, though, as your taste buds leave you, you can enjoy foods differently. This is a good thing. So, therefore, foolish ones who cling to the notion that nirvana is a world by itself, that is outside of what is seen by the mind. You have this uncritically examined idea, heaven must be somewhere else. It's some other plane, it's some other realm of some funny kind or something. It's anywhere but here, and it's anyone but me. And it's anything but this. But actually, this is not correct. Exactly where you are, in exactly the condition you're in, is it. Embrace that fact first, and then respect that fact. It's very easy to get pulled into the churn and lose yourself. Nirvana is not some separate place somewhere else. A fully enlightened Zen master does not turn into a puff of light and merge to some other plane somewhere and wave at you from the beyond. I got mine, see you later, guys. Oof. This is not how it happens. It's amazing. You look at the lineage and these beautiful stories of awakening, and story after story, culture after culture, century after century, language by language, is people realizing, oh my God, this is it. This has been it the whole time. This is crazy. And they have a big laugh on that one. You know? The successor heard that Bodhidharma had come from India bringing the truth of the Dharma, and he sought, at great peril to himself, audience with this great master. And the great master wouldn't even acknowledge him. Like it's a cave, and still somehow the door was closed. But after great perseverance and showing great earnestness, the student said, please, my mind is not at peace. Please help me. And the master said, bring me your mind, and I will put it to rest for you. Go find your mind and bring it to me. And he kicked him out. It's quite an intervention. I'm not at peace, I can't hang, I can't deal, I'm not good enough, oh my God, oy. Bring me this mind. And of course, in the story, it just goes right to the next line, but I think there's some space there. I think some earnest, oh my God, what? Bring him my mind? What does that mean? What does that even mean? Bring him my mind? Bring what, where is it? That's a good question. Who's asking? Eventually, something happened. A realization occurred. Can't find my mind anywhere. I put it to rest for you. The foolish cling to the notion that nirvana is a world by itself that's outside of what is seen by the mind. ignoring the teachings of the awakened ones concerning the world. They go on rolling themselves along the wheel of birth and death. I like that. They go on rolling themselves along the wheel of birth and death, of cause and effect, win, loss, pleasure, pain. Oh my God, 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 oh my God. Yeah, on and on and on and on. But when they experience the turning about in their deepest consciousness, which will bring with it the perfect self-realization of noble wisdom, they will truly understand. And this is one of the golden themes of this sutra, this turning about in the deepest seat of consciousness. You see? You won't find it in a book. You won't find it in a podcast, as remarkable as it may be. You won't find it in anything other than your own internal paying attention to the workings of your mind itself directly. You take the mind and turn it on the mind itself. And it's basically like a computer noticing its own operating system, I suppose you could say, something like this. Becoming self-aware. You know, we're worrying about AI achieving self-awareness as we should. I'm worried about humanity not achieving self-awareness. I think people throw that around like that's a pretty big assumption. I think most people actually, the algorithms and memes are quite in charge of the day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just ask somebody about damn near any topic and you'll get the memes and the algorithms and the talking points. We have to be very, speaking of taking care of each other, this election cycle is serious, right? It's intense, and you have to really take care of yourself. I want everybody to engage in whatever way makes sense to you. Use your morals and ethics. Don't accept bad thinking and pretend it's good just because of likes or dislikes. Critically examine things, but really don't spend the next 100 days or whatever just stewing your own soup around this, because you can, right? So just be reasonable about it, and let's help each other, because it's triggering, right? So it was kind of refreshing to be in Scotland where no one particularly cared much for at least a minute about who's debating who or what's going on. It was quite refreshing. So, I don't want to dreidel on too long about that, but, pay attention enough so that you know how you're going to vote and what you're going to do, and that's enough. Take care of your health, take care of your emotions, take care of your family, and take care of the Sangha. Very important. So when they experience the turning about in their deepest consciousness, that will bring with it the perfect self-realization of noble wisdom, and then they will understand. Okay. And this turning about is a real thing. It's what Zen training drives towards. In fact, you could say that there's three kind of phases to it. The first one is settling down, basically, getting some equanimity, getting a degree of concentration, a degree of presence, right? And then we take that concentration and presence and really watch how the mind's functioning. And this does lead to insights, It leads to experiential knowing of a different kind, which is not the same thing as an insight. An insight is a intellectual concept. An experience is an intimate experiencing, but then most of Zen training actually has to do with how do you integrate what's seen in this turning about with daily life. That's the vast bulk of what Zen training really does. The true functioning of mind is subtle and very difficult to be understood by young disciples or even masters with all their understandings of right knowledge and samadhi often find it baffling. This means to say that if you have a right knowledge, as in the Eightfold Path, right view, but it's intellectual only, it's academic only, it's theoretical, speculative, well, that's someone who understands the principles of weightlifting, let's say, but hasn't done any lifting yet. Or understands the principles of how an instrument works, but has never actually tried it. You know, put my hands on the keys and I make them in the correct order and it produces melodious sounds that are pleasing to all. That's how it works. Oh, good. Can you play? Oh, no. But we mistake the fact that we understand a thing that we actually know a thing, and there's a difference. The Dharma is a practicable skill that one actually can do. Using your mind wisely well, it shows. Just like using the mind unwisely shows, right? So the mind is very subtle and difficult to be understood by young disciples, even masters who have really solid, like academic knowledge. We say mundane, right view, and even samadhi, like a deep concentration. So even if you really understand the sutras quite extensively, and you've got some concentration, that in itself is kind of the setup. That's not the fruition. Right? It's only the Tathagatas and the Bodhisattvas who are firmly established in the 7th stage of training who can fully understand its workings. And here the sutra points out the fact that there actually are stages. And in some places that's kind of out of fashion right now. This kind of, I'm okay, you're okay, we're all, samsara is nirvana, everything I do is zen, it's all good, dude. Except it's not so good, because actual realization has not occurred. So that's not really good enough. In fact, it's kind of a problem. Yeah. So on one hand, you have universal mind is ordinary mind, exactly as mind already is, and that's completely true. And on the other hand, we need to actually realize that for ourselves. It really won't help you to just have faith that that's true for someone else, or maybe you someday. It's not about assurances of things unseen. There, it's true. I know, trust me. This is not acceptable. You have to grow up. You have to sit in your own seat. Very much live your own life and die your own death. We all do. It's your realization to have and to wield, and you can. And it takes a little bit of training. They understand these different stages of bodhisattvahood by the aid of their right knowledge, and must do so by becoming thoroughly clear that the objects of discrimination are only seen to be so by mind. In other words, your mind has built into its operating system categorizing. Yin, yang, up, down, yes, no. Colorful, muted, sweet, sour, bitter. It doesn't matter what nerve endings we're talking about, by the way. Things seen, tasted, heard, felt on the skin, thoughts, understanding that these are objects that the mind discriminates. Right? And thus, by keeping themselves away from these discriminations and false reasonings, not clinging to them, which are also of the mind itself, and by seeking to see things truly. The Buddhist project says in so many words that if you're suffering, it has a lot to do, if not everything to do, with how you see the world and how you see yourself. And if you can experientially break through these unwholesome ways of seeing self, the suffering resolves. There's still pleasure and pain. There's still the karmic habit energy patterns that have to be dealt with. Because that karmic pattern is in there, babe, and that's just how it is. So let's not pretend that's not the case. But it is, there's a way to be free inside that karmic playing out. That's the real freedom, not some other dimension someplace else. So for the sake of all beings throughout space and time, may we realize the truth of our lives for the benefit of ourselves and all. May it be so.
Thank you all for being here today. That concludes the stream.